Kenny Pickett looks like a actual big-time veteran quarterback. There's a ton of weapons at his disposal, and some draft picks from this year already looking to pay some big dividends for the 2023 season. We're going to talk about those topics and much, much more here on All About the Game. Welcome back to All About the Game here on Mike Drop Sports, and I'm your host, Jason. And like I said in the intro, we're going to talk about many things. Kenny Pickett, Nick Herbig, the amount of weapons Kenny Pickett has at his disposal moving into the 2023 season. I just want to start out with this topic, and that is Kenny Pickett looks to have impressed many, in my opinion, at least some of the diehard people that really watch the Steelers. He's impressed them with his veteran presence. He looks like a true veteran. He looks like a guy that belongs, a guy that's been there for quite some time. He's able to keep this offense under control and on schedule, but yet play a quick and fast pace. And I like that about Kenny. And I like the way that players seem to just follow his lead, and it's not forced. He's a natural leader. You see that on the field. You see the players want to play for Kenny and want to do big things for Kenny and be there for Kenny. And that is something you can't teach and something you can't force. It has to happen naturally. And I think that's happened for Kenny Pickett. He looks like a veteran. And I think some of these national media people and some of these other big time so-called Steeler insiders, all that, are maybe discounting this Steelers offense, which I think is going to be a top 10 passing offense in this league. Not to mention, I feel that the run game is going to be 10 times better than it was last year because I think the offensive line looked a little bit better in the first preseason game. I think it still needs a lot of work, especially with the first round pick, Broderick Jones. I don't think he's going to be a bust or anything like that. I just think he needs a lot more reps. I think he needs to be able to do a lot more things. I think he wishes he would have had some of those plays back. But all in all, I think he did solid. And I think that's a positive sign for the Steelers. But having Kenny Pickett look the way he did, looking like a veteran and looking so poised and looking like he really owns that offense is something Steeler fans should really, truly rejoice about. And let's talk about some of his weapons at his disposal heading into the 2023 season. I feel that he has one of the top 10 skill player groups at his disposal right now. You have a George Pickens, a Deontay Johnson, an Allen Robinson, and let's not forget how special Calvin Austin III looked in that first preseason game. I know he was not getting the first team reps, but I still feel like everybody in the NFL is still pretty damn good. And Calvin Austin looked like a man amongst boys out there with his speed and his ability to stretch that field. He proved it on the long touchdown. He proved it on the end around plays that we see a lot of with Matt Canada, which it's not just Matt Canada. We see it a lot through the NFL right now. But you were able to see Calvin Austin is able to really, truly run those plays with authority, with great athleticism, quick and shifty. And he's able to just stretch that defense out a little bit. And the Steelers have really lacked that in the last couple seasons. The defenses have been able to come up in the box and play them tough and play them down low and take away that run game and force them into things that they didn't necessarily want to do and completely keep, oh, excuse me, I had a hair there, but keeps that deep offense off schedule. And that was something that's plagued the Steelers for a couple seasons now. Now that you have Kenny, who's able to keep this offense on schedule, keep them all at an even playing field. He never lets them get too hype, never letting it get out of control. And every down seems manageable, no matter what the down and distance, no matter if it's second, third, fourth down, whatever. Every down seems manageable when Kenny's out there. And that is something that Steeler fans really should be happy about because you just don't find that all the time, especially in a quarterback. Quarterbacks are hard to find, and I think the Steelers really hit on Kenny Pickett here, and I think he's going to prove to pay big dividends, guys. But let's get back to that skill player group. All those players I listed, but I'm not even counting a Darnell Washington, a Connor Hayward, Najee and Jalen Warren. So many quality players that how, if you're a defense, are you honestly going to be able to guard, not be giving people help on certain players and not be out there trying to guess at what's going to happen, because the Steelers are going to be able to use a lot of exotic looks. They have the personnel to do that. They could come in there with multiple tight ends and run a big, powerful formation, but still yet be able to pass out of that formation due to the athleticism and the hands of that tight end group, and the excellent way that they can be athletic out there and show their receiving skills. I mean, you're going to be able to give so many different looks. You're going to be able to come out 5 wide if you need to. You're going to be able to come in bunched up. You're going to be able to go three wides. You're just going to be able to do so many things that's going to keep that defense on its heels. And actually, for once, and this is rare for the Steelers here in the last couple seasons, especially, they have to play that offense honest. That's what you got to be looking for if you're an offensive coordinator. You got to get that balance to where a defense can never load up on you in any particular way, never shut down a certain aspect of your offense. You always got to be looking for that versatility in the ways to be able to do several things well out of certain formations and be able to disguise what you're doing a little bit. And especially, I like those big, heavy sets if they can use them a lot more. We didn't see a ton of them there in the preseason game, but I think that's something that's going to be in the bag of tricks for Mike Tomlin and Matt Canada, to where they're going to get in there with that big personnel, that 12 personnel look, and really be able to do something special. And I just want to say, those skill players have to be one of the top 10 guys. And you're going to see one of the better offenses in the NFL this season. And I feel like maybe some are counting them out. But I feel like if you really look at this team and break it down and dig down to the nuts and bolts of everything, you're going to see that the Steelers are going to have one of those special offensive groups. And I'm so very happy that we actually could be saying that right now and actually have a chance for that to happen, barring injury, barring anything crazy happening. So in today's world, you never know what's going to happen, especially how much injuries happen, different things like that. Oh, excuse me, guys. I had the dogs barking there a little bit. There's somebody outside mowing the grass at the neighbor's house. So it gets sometimes a little crazy and loud in here. So forgive me if there's some crazy background noise a little bit. But let's dive in and let's talk a little bit, too, about that Steelers defense. And one of the players I really just wanted to touch on was Nick Herbig. 8 pass rushes, basically. He was in for 8 snaps where it was a pass rush down, and comes away with 1.5 sacks. Again, I understand, guys, he's playing against, second, third teamers, but wow, that's a dominant performance at any spot on the depth chart in the NFL. You're playing against quality players. You're playing against the best of the best college athletes. And Nick was a great college athlete, and he comes in there giving that team a 1.5 sack performance, which I felt like he was just very in your face. Great, quick first step. Good moves for a guy that I thought was battling a little bit of a hip injury. He still moved very well, still looked like he was very present, knew what he was doing. He wasn't clueless out there. And it was something to really watch. And I think Nick Herbig is going to steadily contribute more and more and more as the season progresses. And I think he'll be able to give TJ and Alex, coupled with Golden, those breaks that they need and be able to keep a fresh set of legs in there all the time to continually harass opposing quarterbacks and really keep those quarterbacks on their heels to where they just don't know. And there's always somebody fresh coming at them. And it's going to make them uneasy, and it's going to force them into some turnovers. And I think it's going to pay a lot. A big help for the Pittsburgh Steelers, like inside linebacker group and things like that, things that may not be the best unit on the field. However, that pass rush is going to help them out by hitting home a lot, by putting a lot of pressures on the quarterback, by keeping the caps on that defensive end type position to where they're sealing those edges, not letting things get outside of them. And I think that's going to really help and contribute back through the defense and really take a lot of pressure off those middle linebackers until they can find their footing, find their legs, and figure out what they need to do to be able to contribute to this defense and be a steady hand, just like, the safety group behind them, or the pass rush group, the defensive line. Keanu Benton played big. Nick, though, he really, really, really showed me something that I thought was special. I think he's going to be a big time player moving forward. And just some of these thoughts, guys, after watching that game, rewatching that game. Um, let's not forget, too, Anthony McFarland, guys. I forgot about him when we were talking about offense. He's starting to shine, and I need to see a lot more from him. And he has to prove a lot more considering of what he's put out there thus far in his NFL career. But boy, does he look to be on the rise. He's looking to really be hitting the holes, going straight, not trying to bounce everything to the outside. And he looks like he's really trying to get back to the Anthony McFarland he was at Maryland, to where he was just a north-south runner with great speed, great power, and was able to just get through to that second level and explode. And I think you're starting to see that. I think he's starting to figure it out. And I think that's going to help that running back room tremendously. And I think those are going to be your three main running backs, Najee Harris, Jalen Moore, and Anthony McFarland moving into this season. Nobody else has a prayer to overtake them. Anthony's working too hard. Jalen and Najee are already cemented in their spots. So I think that's going to be your running back room for the 2023 season. I think they'll keep three there. I think those Anthony McFarland will play a lot of special teams, but he's going to get his chances, especially in later parts of the game, things like that. I think Anthony's going to get his chances to shine in this season, this upcoming season. But again, this was just a few of my thoughts after rewatching it and just seeing how special I thought Kenny Pickett was and is going to be here in 2023. Some of the bright spots on that skill player grouping, to where I think they're one of the top 10 units in the NFL. The Nick Herbig thing, he's going to be a special player eventually. He's that next generation of great Steeler pass rushers that we're going to be able to see and have the fortune of watching here in a Steelers uniform. And I just want to remind everybody this week's game, this Saturday, I think it's 6:30 p.m. versus the Buffalo Bills. It's the second preseason game. I'm thinking we're going to see a lot more of the starters this time as we gear up, like I said. But I think this is going to be a much truer test for the Pittsburgh Steelers when they play a better team that's from top to bottom way better than the Buccaneers. And I think it's going to show us a lot more about this Pittsburgh Steelers team. But as it sits right now, these are my thoughts. Things could change, but right now, this is what I'm thinking. And the things I'm thinking that are bright spots for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. And Steeler fans, rejoice. I think it's going to be a badass season. I think this is going to be one of the good ones. And I don't know, I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but I think it's going to be a fun ride. And I think it's going to lead to some great success for a very young group, a very young Steelers group, especially on the offensive side of the football. And I think it's going to be something special to watch. So again, I appreciate you guys coming through for All About the Game here on Mic Drop Sports. I'm your host, Jason. Thank you for watching again. Stop back, hit that subscribe button. Keep checking back in with us. We're going to keep having those real talks about what we see out on the field, not just what that big box media forces down your throat. So we're going to continue to talk. Leave your comments. I'll answer them all as I get them. Sometimes it might be a day after or whatever, but I'll answer them all. And we'll have talks about, what players are going to get cut, who we think's coming out as a big star, et cetera, et cetera. Just different things like that. Just load the comments up. We'll talk about whatever. And again, I appreciate you. See you next time here on All About the Game.